Well, oftentimes we have to weigh convenience with privacy when it comes to new technology.
And the new Amazon Sidewalk feature is no exception. Sherman Chow connects the dots.
Amazon's latest feature is making a lot of headlines because it will automatically enroll anyone who owns one of its devices into a program to share their internet connection. Let's connect the dots. The program is called Amazon Sidewalk. The company says a small portion of your internet bandwidth will be pooled together with small chunks from your neighbors. Amazon says it'll make its devices work better and help locate lost items. This affects people who have Echo devices, Ring floodlight, and Spotlight cameras. It all gets switched on June 8th. The whole point of this is to extend the range of low bandwidth devices. So if your network goes down, your Echo Dot can still work by sharing connectivity with neighbors who have similar devices. It will also help tile trackers work better. Those are the little devices designed to keep track of important items. They can use Amazon Sidewalk to be more efficient and accurate. Obviously, some folks have raised security concerns about this sharing situation. Amazon says it has multiple layers of privacy and security to protect your personal information. But bottom line, you also have the option to opt out. If you have a Ring device, go to the Control Center on the app or their website. If you have an Echo device, go to Settings in the Alexa app. Connecting the dots, I'm Sherman Chow, KHOU 11 News.